You're listening to a High Voltage Radio Network podcast. Find more at highvoltageradio.com.
This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Welcome to the Kings of Sport, the program that's changing the game one show at a time. With your hosts, Nate Milton.
Yes! That boy's good.
And Marcus Vanderberg.
West side!
So sit back and relax, because you're now down with the Kings.
Down with the King for years, about 10 of them. Recruiting suckers, macking, making men of them.
And welcome to the Kings of Sport, the program that's changing the game one show at a time, a.k.a. the world's most dangerous sports show, a.k.a. iTunes' longest running weekly episodic program featuring two or more. Damn. Keep it rolling. We done did 250 of these. We're going to keep it moving. So
we're humans, damn it. We make mistakes.
Hey, Ric Flair didn't always hit that chop off the top rope.
This is our botchamania.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, you know what it is if you listen to this. This is episode number 250 of the Kings of Sport, the world's most dangerous sports show, a.k.a. iTunes' longest-running weekly episodic program, produced and hosted by two or more African Americans who are not affiliated with a major network. I'm your host, the Godfather Nate Milton, and joining me on this momentous occasion this week is my partner in crime, the man hailing from the City of Angels. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Marcus. What happens at Double or Nothing stays at Double or Nothing. Vanderberg, how you doing this week, brother?
What's up, Nate? I am, as you alluded to, I am off to Vegas after this recording for Double or Nothing.
Let's see. So you're excited? We've got some special guests in the B block to preview Double or Nothing, but just kind of from the aspect of heading out to see this show. Are you excited for it?
I still have low expectations on, I think, the whole thing. I don't want to set, I'm not expecting WrestleMania. I'm not expecting fan access to be on that level, but I'm just more curious to see what they can come up with. And, I did not obviously go to All In, so I didn't go to StarCast. So I truly don't know what to actually expect besides a lot of dudes who hopefully shower. But yeah, besides that, Andreas Hale and Kelly Dansby are doing actually two shows this weekend in Las Vegas. So if you happen to be in town, I know KMA will be there, but
yes.
If you have any other listeners who are going to be in Vegas for StarCast and Double or Nothing, the show Thursday night, which you probably won't hear about because we're recording this on Thursday, but they're doing a live show Thursday night for the Corner Podcast in downtown Vegas at the Nerd Bar. And then Saturday, they actually will be on the Tuscany Casino stage at StarCast talking about race and wrestling.
Wait, hold on. You telling me, and I don't want to throw any shade, but I guess I am. You telling me that our boy Conrad finally booked some color on the StarCast?
Conrad finally put some color on StarCast, yeah.
I don't know what's going on. This is 2019. Kevin Nash is the most woke man in wrestling Twitter, and now Brother Conrad has finally removed the color barriers. I'm gonna have to listen to that, man, because always like Conrad always does good shows with StarCast, but that's been the one thing, the one kind of sticking point for me is the, shall we say, lack of variety with some of his guests.
I think, a lot of that just comes from like your network, right? So if your network is not diverse, you're not going to know who to tap into. And I think I mentioned on the show, we were at the Royal Rumble in Phoenix, and we went to see Conrad and Bruce, Andreas and I, And after the show, Andreas interviewed Conrad, and I think it was from that interview that sort of sparked the conversation about getting the corner as part of StarCast. I mean, those are, two Vegas natives. They're going to their backyards. They wanted to have some type of say. So the panel is called Wrestling with Stereotypes. It includes, obviously, Kel and Andreas, but then Kenny King will be part of it. Willie Mack, Chris Bay, Marty Bell, hello.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
Yeah, and then Chaz, former WWE writer. He did a lot of the New Day segments when he was around, and he's a former Bleacher Report employee as well. So that is taking place at the Tuscany Suites on Saturday at 1 p.m. in Vegas. Okay,
very, very cool. So that is something that I hope gets a lot of interest because the ultimate color is green. So I hope that is well attended. So he'll do more stuff like that because I think that's a very interesting topic.
And funny enough, X-Pac was,
speaking of green,
one of the guys who really put over this panel on his podcast when he was talking to Conrad. He is actually doing a panel at the same time as these guys, but he has said that he's going to try to get over to catch the tail end of it.
Okay.
By the way, at Spot, his girlfriend, Nate, guess what she is?
Given the context clues, would she be a person of color?
She would be. So at Spot, let's move up. Let's not say at Spot Heat anymore because at Spot is now down with the black. So.
What is going on with the NWO? Now you gonna tell me?
Man, that's right. Yeah,
out here marching for Black Lives Matter.
Well, we'll let you know.
It's survey time. Did you come here to see Donald Trump, or did you come here to see Black Lives Matter?
Yes. So, well, I think
for the black guys.
Well, they had to make up for Hogan. So.
You're right. Yeah, I think. The NWO, they saw Hogan, they're like, we can't be associated with Terry Kev. We got to do something.
Yes.
Oh, very, very cool. We'll talk a little bit more about Double or Nothing and the excitement and the anticipation and trepidation in some cases around AEW in our next segment with our very special guest this week. But, Marcus, we are literally a sports show. And so I think we need to talk some sports, and the big sports going on right now, sorry, NHL, is the NBA playoffs.
Oh, it's not MLB in May?
Not MLB in May, not your boy Brooks Koepka tearing up the golf course, not hockey, not the WNBA, which they're advertising now on ESPN.
Hey, that starts Sunday. If you're going to Vegas, if you want to see Liz Cambage go against.
You're telling me I can see Cody Rhodes and a WNBA game?
You joke, but I was halfway tempted to stay for Sunday because the Las Vegas Aces are playing the LA Sparks at Mandalay Bay, but the game's not until 5:00, and I have to drive home. So,
yeah.
But yeah, WNBA starts this weekend.
They had a team for a while.
No, this is year 2.
Okay, because I was like, you said the Las Vegas Aces. I'm like. Are they a WNBA team, or is this some bingo long barnstorming team of women?
No, the Aces. They will probably be very, very, very good this year. Their front court.
What we got to do, by the way. I got to put a pin in that and actually follow up on this. But we need to holler at our boys over at Black on Black Cinema to get this bingo long review happening.
That's right. I still haven't seen it yet.
The culture needs it. Yes, you. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Okay.
You got Lando Calrissian out here playing baseball.
Yeah, that's quite the visual. By the way, the Aces head coach Nate, Bill Lambier.
Wow. Okay. So who was there? Who was their star player?
So they just traded for Liz Cambage. She is a 6'8" center from Australia. Okay. She played for Dallas last year. She won it out. She requested a trade. So she got traded, I think it must be last week now. And then they also have another center, Asia Wilson, who she was a rookie last year. So this is
so sounds season. Like Liz is kind of in that Lauren Jackson mold.
Yes.
Oh, y'all didn't know I know about this WNBA life.
Look at you.
I know a few players from when the league first started, and I was super hyped for whatever reason about the WNBA.
They looking at their roster is filled with just
so was this an expansion team, or did they move a franchise?
This is expansion.
Okay, that makes sense then, because I was like, I don't remember hearing anybody move.
No, expansion. So
okay. So yeah, that'll be cool though. Like, all jokes aside, I secretly root for the WNBA markets to, if not be prosperous, to at least, survive.
It feels like it's gaining some momentum, at least on Twitter. It feels like watching the WNBA has become like the end thing for basketball fans on Twitter.
It's the hipster thing now.
It is the very hipster thing, and The Athletic has now launched coverage for the WNBA, so they're covering the league this year. They have this expanded TV deal as well on CBS Sports. So I think the visibility will be there. The trick will be how do you? It's the same problem baseball has, right? How do you market your stars? And I think they do legitimately have some star power in the league, but how do you get the awareness out?
Is Taurasi playing this year? Or is he still staying in Russia?
Taurasi's hurt. She had surgery a couple weeks ago, so she's hurt. And I'm trying to blank. I don't know who else is hurt. The MVP from last year, Breanna Stewart, is also out for the year. She tore her Achilles playing in Russia, which is a whole separate issue because the women aren't being paid nearly enough stateside. So then, therefore, they have to play year-round in foreign countries. And she ended up tearing her Achilles playing in Russia. So
could they theoretically pay them similarly, or is it just the fact that the league doesn't make any money?
That is a good question. I would definitely imagine if you asked the owners, they would say the league doesn't make enough money to pay the players. I feel like if the NBA wanted this thing to succeed, they could subsidize the contracts of the women and put in on some of that to make it worth their time and effort. Now, is that in the NBA's best interest? No. I mean, look, it's the same reason why the WWE probably won't convert these wrestlers into employees, because it's going to cost them money. And what's the upside? You get happy wrestlers, but it's going to cost you millions and millions of dollars. So I don't see that actually happening, but it's a real problem.
Yeah, because when you in no other sport do we see this where the alternative of playing overseas is more attractive.
Yeah, I mean actually there's a quick baseball story, but there was a guy, Carter Stewart, who was drafted by the Braves actually last year, and he did not sign with the Braves. He was like the 8th overall pick, and he ended up signing a long-term contract with a baseball team in Japan, and he's going to make more money than he would in the minor leagues here in the United States, and he will become eligible to come back to the U.S. at around 25, and then he could, in theory, get a second contract. If all goes
would the Braves still retain his rights, or would he become a free agent after that?
No, the Braves lose his rights.
That's an interesting play.
Yeah, I think it could really be the start of something different for players who don't. And a lot of this comes from, I think, a little bit of Kyler Murray, who turned down baseball, but he turned it down for the right reason, because if you go first in the NFL, you got to take that. You got to take that bet. So, but yeah, minor league players are similar to the WNBA in the sense of they're drastically underpaid, and the difference between the two would be MLB players or baseball players in the minors are playing all summer, going bus to bus, motel to motel, making $1,200 a month. That's a rough life for anyone.
You mean it's not as romantic as Bull Durham told me it was?
It is not, Nate.
It's not this glamorous lifestyle. Oh, you know what's funny, Marcus? We've been talking for about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and we have not even talked about the NBA. And I think not to...
That sums up the NBA this year.
Not to disparage the players, but I haven't felt very invested in these playoffs. Golden State, obviously, a great team, a generational team, ran through your Trailblazers and your boy Dame Lillard like a hot knife through butter, but... Is it a foregone conclusion? Is it a foregone conclusion that whoever comes out of the East, now we're tied up at 2-2 as of the time of this recording, between the Milwaukee Bucks and Marcus's adopted Toronto Raptors, is it a foregone conclusion that either team that comes out of the East will fall to the Warriors?
Yes. They're not beating Golden State.
That's with or without Durant?
With or without, yeah. Does not matter.
I agree. Like, can we just hit fast forward on this season and get to whatever moves are going to be made in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
And the draft and all that stuff?
Maybe it goes 5 games, but the idea of a team winning more than one game in Oakland is probably not going to happen. So, yeah, whoever wins in the East, and even if that's Toronto, sadly, I don't see them going past 5 games.
Yeah, I think the only chance a team would have had would have been if the Bucks had come out and just stomped the Raptors. And if somehow Portland was able to push Golden State to a competitive series, then maybe a rested Bucks team could possibly have challenged a tired Warriors team, and even then, Marcus, you're kind of grasping at straws.
Yeah, it's even if KD does not play, the Warriors are 31-1 in the last 32 games where Steph played and KD did not. So let's not sleep on KD, or excuse me, let's not sleep on Steph Curry, and let's not forget he was a 2-time MVP. He's probably he's definitely the best point guard of our generation. He's probably going to be the second best point guard ever, behind Magic. So let's not sleep on that stuff.
Well, 2 points. First of all, Marcus can speak from experience. It wouldn't be the first time where a kind of larger than life, maybe outspoken, dark-skinned figure left the team and it allowed the light-skinned brother to shine. Just pulling from, stories that may or may not be true in real life that Marcus can relate to. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, you bring up Magic, and I think it's so funny that during the NBA conference finals, in the run-up to the NBA finals, the biggest NBA story has been about your boy Magic Johnson going on First Take and putting Rob Pelinka and to some extent Jeannie Buss and the entire organization on blast.
What a mess.
Magic obviously better than I do, Marcus, but it seemed like he don't give a damn. He is going out there and he's like, hey, this is what happened. This was my perspective and this is how I felt about the situation.
He does not care at this point. It's, I would say, probably a little messy, as the kids say. Mm-hmm. It's a little problematic for what he did on First Take, but it was great TV.
Oh man! So as a Laker fan, Marcus Vanderberg, obviously they got a high draft pick. Obviously, did we talk about the draft lottery, or did that kind of fall through the cracks?
No, it happened. We haven't done a show since then.
Okay, so yeah, obviously you got the Pelicans with the number 1 pick in the draft, which everyone presumes to be Zion Williamson. So you could have a situation where you've got Zion and AD on the same team, or if AD still is so adamant about leaving New Orleans, you have a situation where they can get a king's ransom in return for AD. But looking at it from the Lakers' got a high draft pick, Marcus. They still have some good young players. What do you think is next for this team, which I guess is now being co-produced by the Rambuses? Question mark.
Yeah, I am a little worried about their
and they've got a new coach.
New coach, Frank Vogel, who was introduced on Monday as well. I'm a little worried about them attracting another superstar. There's just so much baggage. I think LeBron has his own baggage in the sense of you need to find someone who's comfortable knowing that he's not going to be the number one option. And that's asking a lot for someone's ego to sort of defer. But I'm a little worried that they get left out. And if they get left out, what do you do then? Because you obviously still have LeBron, who, when healthy, is still great. But can you really trust the young guys to take the next step? Because I don't think they did not. They did not do that this season.
No, and I think you got three scenarios, Marcus, three possible scenarios. One, you get another top guy to team up with LeBron. That's best case scenario. Two, like you just mentioned, you get left out again in the shuffle, which would further kind of deteriorate the morale of the fan base in L.A. and maybe even LeBron with his tolerance for the situation. But then the third thing, which could almost be as bad as not getting anybody, is overpaying for somebody that overpaying for a B-level dude, paying him like he's an A-level dude, and falling into that trap and getting LeBron some help, quote unquote. That's not really help at all. So I think they have created a situation. And I don't know whether it's Genie or Rob Pelinka or whoever is running this ship, whoever is steering the ship. They've created a opportunity where not only do you run the risk of staying mediocre or less than mediocre, not only do you run the risk of further frustrating your fan base, but you could make this whole LeBron James experiment a bust if we don't see any tangible gains from LeBron other than, the box office and ticket sales.
Which would lead to the should you trade LeBron rumors. And I don't even know what that looks like for a team. I mean, what do you give back? What do you give up to get back LeBron?
And then all of a sudden, Pat Riley slides up to the table. I knew you'd be back.
Yeah.
Pat Riley sliding up like H-Town back in the 90s. Now you want that old thing back. It's going to be interesting, man. And again, to kind of tie a bow on the NBA playoffs, it is evident that whether you love LeBron or you hate LeBron, shout out to Jermaine in Chicago, the NBA playoffs need LeBron James, man, just as a figure.
Yeah, it's the ratings are down. The interest
There's no
is
way
down.
these terrible Monday Night Raws should be beating an NBA playoff game.
Yes,
or having high ratings compared to an NBA playoff game.
Yeah, Raw's gonna have a challenge during. I think it would be Game 5 of the finals, which would be on Monday, going against the Raw going against the finals, and that's the
I didn't
Raw
even think
after
about this, Marcus.
the Saudi
how
show.
Down are the finals ratings going to be with a foregone conclusion with the Warriors versus a team that does not have a LeBron James type star?
Very much so, and then if it's Toronto, that's going to hurt because the ratings don't measure Toronto because it's not in the country.
True.
So your second largest audience in theory would be the opposing team going against Golden State, but because that's in another country, that's going to be missing.
So I guess
not just wrestling. Everyone has issues with ratings.
Much like wrestling, we need star power. We should have had a Money in the Bank situation where LeBron James just shows up at the Eastern Conference Finals and joins whichever team wins.
Yeah.
That's LeBron James, by God. He doesn't work for this team. LeBron James is all in. So that's the A block, ladies and gentlemen. That is the NBA. We'll obviously have more reactions and analysis as the conference finals wrap up and we move towards the NBA finals, which usually is one of my favorite times of the year, Marcus. But I have a feeling, like we've been talking about, it's going to be a little boring.
A little boring. But then you got the draft.
Yeah.
And then you have free agency.
That's the real postseason. That's the real, yes. But you know what is not boring, Marcus, as in comparison to the NBA Finals?
What's that?
Our good friends from the great White North, John Pollock and Ting from Post Wrestling, our special guests here on episode 250. They're going to be up after the break, Marcus, to talk about not only what is going on over Post Wrestling right now, not only what is happening with the WWE, but they're going to help us preview Double or Nothing to going down in Vegas this weekend, Marcus Vanderberg.
Welcome back, boys. Welcome back.
Yes, so John Pollock and Ting coming up after the break, so don't you guys and girls go anywhere. Episode 250 of the Kings of Sport rolls on right after this.
My soul is blessed, the king is born, my mind confess I'm a bad, bad man. Ain't no one like me, I'm a legend. Ain't no one like me, I'm a legend, legend. 'Cause I've been down so long that my crown and God is nothing. Ain't no one like me, I'm a legend, legend, legend. Like a bull in a glass house, no bull about to smash out. Can't nothing stand in my way. I don't care what the place is, from the penthouse to pavement. You better hear what I say. Yes, my soul is blessed, the king is born. My mind confess I'm a bad, bad man. Ain't no one like me. I'm a legend. Ain't no one like me.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
What's going on, party people and everybody out there in podcast land? It's your man, Nate. And we'll get back to the show in just a little while. But while we got some time, I just wanted to let you guys know the 3 ways you can get in touch with the Kings of Sport. Way number 1, you can tweet us on Twitter, because that's where people tweet people, apparently. You can hit us up on Twitter at KOS_POD. That's CosPod on Twitter. Way number 2, you can email us at thekingsofsport@gmail.com. That's thekingsofsport@gmail.com. And finally, you can hit us up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thekingsofsport. So there you have it. Those are the 3 ways you can get in touch with us. You can leave feedback. You can join the discussion. 3 ways you can be down with the Kings. We good, Marcus? Like, do we have to pay Warren G for this? Because I ain't got G-Funk money.
And now it's time to return to the podcast that's changing the game one show at a time.
It's the Kings of Sport, thekingsofsport.com. And now it's time to get you caught up on the week's biggest stories from the world of professional wrestling. It's the Ringside Wrap on the Kings of Sport.
We are back on episode 250 of the Kings of Sport podcast. Brother Nate, Brother Marcus, holding things down. And of course, as we mentioned in the A block, this would not be a milestone edition of the program. It would not be a celebration if we didn't have some very special guests on the program this week. And being that Brother Marcus is headed out to Vegas for the biggest wrestling event of the week, AEW's Double or Nothing, and the surrounding celebration and festivities around that, it would make sense to bring in some folks that might have a great perspective on this, could give us some information, give us some thoughts on this. And you know, we, in times like these, we turn to our friends, our brothers to the north, John Pollock and Ting from Post Wrestling, who are very gracious to join us this week, because I'm sure Ting in particular is still probably wrapped up in the throes of Kawhi Leonard mania and Raptor mania up there.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. But you know what? I'll say covering wrestling for a living has really kind of put a dampener on my Raptors fandom, because all these games have been occurring either on a Monday or a Tuesday, one on a Sunday for Money in the Bank. So I'm not able to keep up at all.
That's a fair point. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Marcus. Happy anniversary, happy celebration. Whenever you can put that 0 at the end of a podcast number, it is time to celebrate.
So episode 260, you guys are booked on 2 more weeks. So yes, Double or Nothing.
Go ahead, Marcus, because you are the man that is preparing, full disclosure, to leave. The minute we stop this recording, you are on the road to Las Vegas, on the road to Double or Nothing. So I will let you have the floor, brother, and get into this conversation.
So, as Nate mentioned, headed to Vegas for this show. I did not go to All In. I did not obviously go to StarCast. I guess, John and Wade, what is your sort of excitement level compared to All In when it comes to Double or Nothing?
I think that this is I would say it's a pretty sizable level. I feel that it's interesting to watch the different opinions going in, that there are many who are looking at this as this event has to be transformative to the industry and putting such enormously high expectation on it. And almost to offset that, there is also the opinion of, I think some people like underplaying the show and getting behind the idea that this is a company that has still not run one show proper under its official banner of All Elite Wrestling. So I think you get a whole mixed reaction, but I really do feel this is going to be an excellent show on Saturday. And I would say even those with pretty high expectations, I think it's going to be a pretty well-received show on Saturday, unless you're going in with the belief that there needs to be a CM Punk level of surprise to warrant your expectation level being met. But I think it's going to be, you just look at this card, it looks very, very strong. And I think that it's going to be the momentum builder you want to come out of this weekend that sends people to the forthcoming shows and, more importantly, the TV show in October.
For my excitement, I think, oftentimes when I talk about the wrestling matches that I'm most interested in, it's the matches that have the most stakes attached to it. And that extends to wrestling cards as well. And certainly with this AEW show, there are a lot of stakes attached to it. It's not just another show for them. It is their first show, their first chance to make a big impression. Much like All In had a lot riding on it, and look at what that turned into. I think this show is really big for them. It's a great test to see how many people are willing to pay that price point for a show like this. What is their TV going to look like? This will be a great glimpse of that. How is their booking going to feel? I think a lot of these things will be answered probably with this show.
It's funny to me, John, because when you look at this, whether it's from a fan perspective or from a journalist perspective, like you're looking at this, the reaction to the wrestling community at large, where it feels very much like you've got one portion of the audience that thinks this is like the biggest show of the year. Like, this has to be perfect. We can't have a misstep. But then you've got another portion of the audience which is just like, let's wait and see what this company is all about, what this show is all about. And I think that was magnified with the recent occurrence between Pac and Hangman Page. And we, kind of seeing how people covered that. When it comes to covering AEW from a journalistic standpoint, what perspective do you have with it? Because I've seen, different takes, I guess, in terms of people that are kind of breathless about AEW and others that kind of have that wait and see attitude. Where do you come down on reporting about AEW?
I think it's all in the same way that you cover anything. I think that, in order to do the job, you kind of do have to eliminate the fandom aspect of it. But I think that largely there is a huge demand, I feel, for just the industry as a whole to have a viable competitor. And over the next year, you're going to define what the term viable really is. If people are going into this with the expectation that within 2 years, All Elite Wrestling is going to be having $700 million years in revenue, well, I think you're forecasting something that is just unrealistic. If this is a company that can be at the brink or ahead of their projections regarding profitability in 2 years, I think that's really strong. If you can raise up the floor for a lot of wrestler salaries, I think that's a great sign for the industry as a whole. It's, in essence, it's that many more jobs that are going to be created by a full-time promotion that is going to be running year round. So I'm more so just looking at this from the perspective of not necessarily getting sucked up in the minutia of just every single step being so critically analyzed, but that's what All Elite Wrestling has put themselves into a position for. On Saturday night, they are under the most intense microscope a promotion has probably undergone outside of WWE since WCW went out of business. Like, this is a very demanding audience, and with that audience, this promotion is kind of tapping on the shoulder of the wrestling community and on Saturday night, they're going to look over and see what's all the fuss about. So it's a big pressure situation, I feel. So for fans, and I think, for media, it's like, I try to just look at it like any other show and look at the positives and the negatives. And there's going to be both on Saturday. I don't think that you can just go in and expect one or the other.
And I think on my end for media, the Yahoo audience is not your hardcore wrestling audience. And, obviously our first AEW story came from our Yahoo finance team, who sort of talked about the business side of this new company and the cons and what this all means for the industry. But I have not really done a lot of coverage around AEW from the sports side, just because I don't know if the general Yahoo audience is even aware of an AEW or of a Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks. So this weekend would be interesting to see, A, what we come up with in terms of content, and B, how is that content received in terms of like what the metrics say.
Well, it's also
I think a lot of that would dictate.
It's also a sign as well, Marcus, the fact that Yahoo, this is on their radar, that they are dedicating coverage to this. I think that in and of itself is, and the TNT announcement last week, obviously strategic one. I think that adds a lot of credibility to this promotion, that this is more than just something that is, it's one thing to sell out the MGM Grand and attract hardcore wrestling fans, and a large amount of them. I don't think this is like some tiny niche either, but knowing that they have primetime television coming in the fall, I think that adds a certain level of prestige and realness to this project, that this is a real thing that's going to be on a real platform and is going to attract a lot of attention this week and probably coming out of it as well.
Yeah, I think the media nerd in me is just curious to see who shows up for this. Yeah. And I think I've seen some of the, crowds for LA pay-per-views in terms of like, your ESPNs and, Brandon Stroud's, some of your premier writers who are local. But, are people going to be traveling for this show? I know Yahoo will be there, Sporting News will be there. I'm sure ESPN will have a presence, but how much more mainstream are they going to be able to pull within this show?
I think it's interesting because wrestling is still not nearly as present in terms of the social consciousness as it was in the 90s. but nothing in media is. Like, everything is fragmented these days, except for Marvel, because they still making money hand over fist. But Way, when you're looking at, something like the Wrestlers or Dark Side of the Ring, where the hardcore fan is certainly as hungry or maybe even more hungry than they've ever been for a variety of content, where do you think AEW fits within that space? And, in terms of giving this audience that certainly the appetite is out there, giving them something different.
Yeah, I think the conversation of, what actually classifies somebody as a hardcore fan is an interesting one, because, if you listen to some of these AEW interviews with Tony Khan and Cody, they will tell you that their desire is to not capture necessarily WWE's current audience, but to capture the former fan, the lapsed fan who might no longer be watching WWE, but grew up with it, used to watch it. How many of those people are around, and how many of those people are aware currently of what the Young Bucks and the Elite are doing? I like to think that number is quite a few, and probably growing by the week. So I think it's more than just, simply at this point, hardcore indie fans who follow PWG or New Japan. It's a great wealth of audience out there that just wants a wrestling alternative.
Have you guys heard from some of your casual wrestling fans who have some interest in this show?
Not so much friends of mine, but I did have a really interesting conversation with a friend of mine who works in the pay-per-view industry, and was just kind of gauging like what should we expect with this show. And it's an interesting question, like on a pay-per-view level, of what kind of business is this going to do? Because thus far we've been able to see, as a live event business, they've been able, let's be honest, they could have sold a number of times the amount of tickets that they sold for Saturday's show. It was just they were limited by the venue they were in. But on pay-per-view, at $50 that most carriers are putting the show up for, I'm really intrigued to see what this can do on pay-per-view. I'm not expecting something that is going to rival, I would say like the absolute ceiling would be maybe a mid-sized UFC pay-per-view. I think that would be a home run if they could hit that level coming out of the gate. And also what the breakdown will be from just traditional pay-per-view versus digital, that there's been a very, very big push that you would think for a lot of the audience that is following this might be more inclined to buy this on a Fight TV or watch on Bleacher Report Live. So I'm very intrigued kind of by how this performs on pay-per-view to the larger audience when we know that they can sell out major league sized arenas.
Looking at the card, what interests you the most, guys? Obviously there's some pretty big matches on here. You talk about, Jericho and Kenny, the Battle Royal should be fun, should be entertaining. Just, taking off the journalism hat, as a fan, what intrigues you the most about the show?
Certainly the main event, and seeing how they will, do the finish, knowing that now that the winner of that match is going to go on to face the Casino Battle Royale winner for the inaugural AEW Championship. I think the Battle Royal, honestly, it's got a level of intrigue for the surprise entrance, knowing that they're trying to build up this Lucky 21 as probably a big name. The expectations are really high for some very well-known names to appear as a part of something like that. And I think they risk disappointment if they don't deliver somebody perhaps on the level of a Jon Moxley. I think the audience could accept if CM Punk doesn't show up on this one, but I think they need a big announcement for this show, whether it be in that Battle Royal or something else. So I'm looking forward to both those things. But then up and down the card, Cody versus Dustin Rhodes has been a match that I think, wrestling fans who have been following them have wanted to see for a long time. They kind of dropped the ball on it in the WWE, and now they get to do it in Cody's own home promotion. I think the little promotion they did do for it in the form of 2 promos between the two of them has been really well done. Honestly, in an ideal world, you'd have a lot more time to tell this story, and maybe going forward they will continue to tell it. But that's a match I'm definitely looking forward to, along with all the other things on this show. A lot of these performers I don't even know, I've never even seen before. But knowing the track record of the Bucks and the taste levels of the wrestlers in charge of putting these rosters together, I'm excited to see what they have to offer.
The Battle Royal, that's on the kickoff show, correct?
Yes.
That's okay. I think that's a pretty good hook. If you're someone on the fence who is debating about whether to order, and you do get a John Moxley that shows up, and I think that would draw some people in. So I think that's pretty smart.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to do like one surprise, like that would be kind of your hook to do that with 10 minutes to go to really drive last minute buys. It's a smart strategy to the widest amount of people that battle royal will be available in. And I think as well, you will probably get a really well booked battle royal because they've kind of set the bar from the last battle royal at All In that was tremendously well received.
And I also think the fact that you've given it stakes with the winner going on to face the winner of Kenny and Jericho, like it actually means something. And John, reviewing these WWE shows that you and Wade do so often, we see pre-show stuff that doesn't matter. Like it's good wrestling, but there's no consequences. There's no repercussions a lot of times. So having something on a pre-show that actually matters, I think is a really good step for them.
Yeah, it's a totally different concept of, whereas the WWE, it is largely just to warm up the crowd that is going to probably be very, very hot for the first match that is out, but it's largely an indication, like it's very much like a totem pole system where kind of the lowest match on the card receives that treatment on the kickoff show. It's not a prestige slot for a WWE show. Whereas there's something of value with the battle royal that they've attached to it.
But it's also a privilege that AEW can enjoy right now because this is only their second show. When they get into the habit of potentially at some point producing a show every single month, I think inevitably you're going to see a company like this kind of fall into the same groove where a lot of these matches don't really matter. What will be interesting to see is how they combat that. And so much of it, I think, is going to come down to what Tony Khan has talked about with their new scoring system, making sure that all wins mean something. How are they going to make, the most, obscure TV match? How are they going to make somebody like me care about that when I'm already watching 5 hours, 6 hours of TV every single week? So that to me is part of the hook as well and part of the intrigue of it all.
Nate, I assume you're watching on Saturday?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I have set aside time from work and life to watch this.
Wow, look at you.
And I don't do that. Like, I don't even do that for WWE shows. Like, to be quite honest with you, I show up late to most WWE shows, and I'll either remember the day of, and like, oh yeah, that's right. Like Money in the Bank, I tuned in midway through, and really didn't feel like I missed a whole lot.
No, you probably didn't. Well, did you come in on Bailey or before Bailey?
It was before Bailey.
Oh, okay, you're fine.
You caught the key points.
Yeah.
Hey, Nate, is the price point a deterrent to you?
Not for this show. I think, like you guys are saying, this is kind of their first formal step out. This is a big event for wrestling fans. So I don't have a problem dropping $50 for this show. But if this is a situation where all of your pay-per-views going forward and you're doing multiple pay-per-views, more than 5 or 6 a year, and you're charging me $50 a pop, then it becomes an issue of, am I getting my money's worth? When we've got the WWE Network over here, which has kind of screwed things up for everybody in the game, where I can get everything for $10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would argue as a casual fan, the price is probably a little too steep, and not to spend the tons money, but clearly they have the money to take a loss on at least the first show.
Get out of Tony's pockets, man.
I know. But I think if you're trying to cast the widest net for wrestling fans, I think the price point is very important. And if the price was maybe even half of this price, I think you would see more casual fans sort of taking the chance and buying the show. And then maybe you can hook some of them to buy the more expensive shows down the road. So I am curious to see what the numbers are for that, because the price is the same on Fight and BR Live, correct? There's no discount?
I believe so. Yes, I believe they're the same. I don't think either is trying to or can undercut the other.
Okay.
Was it this reminds me, now that you're talking about this strategy, Marcus, remember when, like back in the day when we used to have multiple companies that could make NFL football games? NFL 2K5, 2K Sports, was a much better game than Madden 2005. It had more features than Madden 2005. It was more fan-friendly than Madden 2005. and it was only $25. And that game sold like hotcakes. And so there is an argument to be made if you've got something that you believe is a superior product or at least an alternative to the mainstream product, and you price it at a point that's a little bit more attractive to the common fan, you could get more return on your investment, even if you're not getting, that big $50 purchase off top. So I think, yeah, you're right. They could have dropped it, but I think the people that are going to be invested in All In and are excited about All In AEW are cool with paying $50 this one time. But I think in the future, it's something that definitely needs to be addressed.
I should also add on Fight, it appears actually that the card is $35 in Canada.
Oh.
So $50 in the US, but $35 in Canada. So yay.
Does that say in Canadian, or is that in US dollars? Because I was looking at that yesterday and I thought it was in.
So what would that be? $34 American? It's still cheaper than $49 in American.
It would be, it'd be $47 Canadian.
Okay, so 50 Canadian, 50 in American. So still a win for Canada.
Okay.
You're saving a few bucks, yes.
Okay.
I guess we couldn't have you on here, guys, without getting your quick thoughts on the state of the WWE, the big dog in sports entertainment. So, John Pollock, I know you and Wade have been racking your brains trying to figure out the wild card, the 24/7 rule, trying to figure out the math of the WWE. How are you holding up, brother?
AJ Styles is trying to figure out how the wild card rule works. So the least we can do is try and make sense of it.
That belt. I was worried about you. I was worried about you guys this week. I could feel the tension. You guys need to hug it out. Yeah,
I think maybe after us, Marcus and Chris will also have to have a hug. That was a very contentious debate, and Nate had to play referee.
Yeah, that was.
That's the real reason we didn't have a show last week. It's not because we wanted to milk the excitement for episode 250. It's because I had to let Marcus cool down for a week.
Marcus is a very cerebral, like what I took from that conversation, the debate was that Marcus is a very cerebral debater because Chris will make his points and his volume is going up, up, up. And then Marcus just comes back and it's like daggers. He's like, Chris, let's return to reality here.
Chris had the passion.
I don't understand this. And it was also, I really enjoyed the contrast too. I mean, it's not like two people yelling at each other. It was very measured. I enjoyed it quite a lot, as I told Chris on our show last week.
It's been a while since we've had someone to debate with since we lost our third co-host.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think that might have been one of his final appearances was when you guys were arguing about Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt, yeah.
And that was 5 years ago, and you guys got that big Bray Wyatt argument.
Yeah, not a lot's changed.
Wait, what about you? How are you holding up with the current WWE product?
I'm honestly amazed that I think I've been doing it for this long. So something tells me that I'll be able to get by for the next couple more years. But I think it's always amazing how much time we all continue to devote to something that we've been so often disappointed by throughout so much of our time. And I'm not speaking about, the in-ring quality, which is often very good, but just the 3 hours per second of entertainment that I seem to acquire from this show that seems to be rushly produced most often, and then not necessarily followed up on with long-term storytelling. I'm always a little amazed, but at the same time, I think it continues to be incredibly interesting to discuss and to analyze. I don't think there's anything like it. I don't think sports to me is as much as I love the Raptors, as you guys know, not really as interesting to dissect as what is going on with like Firefly Funhouse character or who's upset at what type of booking. To me, it's never been more interesting trying to cover professional wrestling.
Do you guys have anything planned for SummerSlam weekend, or are you looking forward to that weekend, or is it more of a burden in terms of just the work and the shows?
It's It's a frightening week as I inch closer towards this week where I don't know what shows I'll be going to. Of the WWE bunch, the only one I could foresee myself going to is TakeOver because there's nothing else that I think I can go live for. There's also there's a number of smaller shows that are going to be in town. That Smash Wrestling, which is one of the big local independents, is partnering up with WXW, Shimmer, and Progress, and are running some shows. So I would like to get out to one or two of those as well. But there's just a ton going on, and on top of it, I think it would be manageable if it was just that. But on top of it being the final weekend of the G1, I don't know how we're going to do all of this stuff, and as we get closer, we will work out a battle plan for all of it.
A lot of coffee, my friend. A lot of coffee.
Are you guys coming up that weekend?
I am TBD. I wait and see with my wife and how that's going with the pregnancy.
Right.
I would feel really bad to be out of the country. So I have not pressured Nate yet as a result. I just want to wait a little closer to see how that's going.
That would be really, I feel some type of way. If you pressured me to go to Toronto to go see our friends John and Wade and to go see SummerSlam, and then turns out you couldn't even make it.
To be fair, I have consistently been to Toronto every year since the show started. So
we see Marcus every year. It's a regular stop on the Marcus World Tour.
Multiple times a year. You see him at Mania, and
So it's funny, I was talking with mutual friend Damian Abraham a couple nights ago, and he was putting the pressure on for me to come up SummerSlam weekend as well. So,
is your passport so good, Nate?
It is, and I have not committed any crimes. I haven't stolen any Girl Scout cookies. That's a foreshadowing for segment 4. So I should be good to cross the border.
All right. Well, you should at least look into it, and then if I can commit, you have a place to stay. You'll be fine.
I can always sleep in the post office. And speaking of said post office, John and Wade, you guys do such great work over at Post Wrestling. Most notably, recently, you guys dropped a audio documentary commemorating the 20-year anniversary of the death of Owen Hart. So if you will, before we let you guys get out of here, speak on that, speak on all the great work you guys are doing up at Post Wrestling, and let the people know where they can find it.
Yeah, well, the Owen Hart documentary, it's called Owen Hart's Final Day, a Post Profile. It's up on the site now, so you can go check that out at postwrestling.com. It's also up on our YouTube channel. Just search for Post Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe there. And yeah, Wei and I have been, we've been doing Post Wrestling now for coming up on 18 months. So we want to thank all the people. This is pretty much a listener supported operation. So for those that support us through our Patreon, we greatly appreciate that and hope you enjoy all of the work. And if you don't, sorry, we'll try harder.
True Canadians apologizing.
They've got a lot on their plate. They've got to get ready for the not only Double or Nothing, but also the Super Show, which way to tie things together and bring it full circle. They should have taken a page out of Marvel and instead of calling this the Super Show, should have just called this WWE Far From Home.
Oh my. Maybe we'll see about it. We'll see how they work in the multi-dimensional branch theory into this show.
Maybe that's what they need to do with these shows in Jeddah. Just it's an alternate universe. It doesn't count with the main continuity of WWE.
Oh, it counts. It counts,
especially in the third quarter report.
Oh yes. Just ask your boy George Barrios. But yes, John and Wei, again, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to the Kings of Sport, get down with the Kings. We'll do this again in 10 episodes or 25 episodes, whatever the next milestone is.
Episode number 340, we're there. That's the next big one.
That, of course, is the great John Pollock and Wei Ting from Post Wrestling. Check them out. Check out all the great work that they do. So we'll be back on the other side. Marcus and I will be back. John and Wei won't be back because we have a very special edition of Segment 4 for you guys and girls this week. So don't go anywhere. Stick and stay. We've got more Kings of Sport right after this.
Hey, hey, hey.
That one is hot fire.
For all you black folks out there.
Welcome back to the world's most dangerous sports show. Follow the danger online at facebook.com/the Kings of Sport.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We are back, ready to close up shop. But before we do, we got to give you what you want. We got to give you what you need. And of course, on this milestone edition of the podcast, what you want and what you need is ratchetness in its pure, unadulterated form. And that, of course, is what segment 4 is all about. It is our repository of ratchetness where Brother Marcus and myself talk about stories from the world of sports, entertainment, politics, pop culture, anything that's out there, you know, that is crazy and funny and silly. We like to talk about it here in this segment. And Marcus, you know, this is, like I mentioned, this is a celebration for the show this week. I didn't bring any cake, but I do have a story about some cookies. Check. 1, 2.
Oh, hello.
There you go.
I was on mute. I was making all these cookie jokes on mute.
Wow.
Wow. Man, 250, huh?
I was going to say, after all these episodes, Marcus.
True professionals.
Would you like to recycle any of those cookie jokes?
No, I ended with a milk and cookies joke, which, you know, if you watch that Bernie Mac skit now in 2019, it's very problematic. So no.
To him downstairs.
Some milk and cookies.
Yes, it is not PC, but it's still funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Well, bust their heads to the white meat. So Marcus Vanderberg, while you were on mute, I was setting up this story that comes from not really your neck of the woods, but your side of the world.
The cookie world?
Yes, the cookie world, the West Coast world, Marcus Vanderberg. The story, I'm picking it up from David Moy on Huffington Post.
Okay.
Headline: Man stole daughter's Girl Scout cookie money for erotic massage.
Oh.
And apparently Brian Couture, which again, like that's got to be a gimmick name.
Yes, that's a work name, brother.
Brian Couture, a 40-year-old Oregon man, pled guilty this past Monday to initiating a false police report. He was put on probation, fined $100, and ordered to perform 80 hours of community service. Back in March, Couture of Forest Grove, Oregon, called 911 to report that someone entered his home through a sliding glass door, had a physical altercation with him before fleeing and running off with $740 of his daughter's Girl Scout cookie money.
And this is in Oregon, you said?
This is in Oregon. Later, investigators spotted inconsistencies in Couture's story, and they found DNA evidence at the crime scene that linked him to the faked robbery. Couture had to come clean, Marcus, and told police that he stole the money from his daughter, to pay for an erotic massage and faked the robbery when he realized he couldn't explain the missing funds.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
They reached out to the Oregon Girl Scouts for a comment. The Girl Scouts said the group was working with prosecutors to recover the $740.
Does someone just donate the money back to them? That's pretty tragic.
Marcus Vanderberg, I have never I'm not out here to what's the word the kids use these days? I'm not out here to kink shame anybody.
Uh-huh.
If you are a consenting adult and your partner's a consenting adult, whatever you do is fine as long as you're not hurting anybody. But if you have a problem, Bob Kraft, with these massage parlors and these erotic locations that you have to steal $740, that's a big tab, by the way. That's not just a one-time thing.
No, that is a Robert Kraft situation. Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes, because they're not allowing the videotape to be shown in court.
Which is a good thing.
But if you are so desperate for this, shall we say, treatment, that you steal out of your daughter, literally you steal from your daughter's cookie jar, you have a problem, sir.
That is a problem. That is a rehab situation right there.
So first of all, that's a pretty good haul for like I think we shouldn't give credit to the real hero of this story, which is the little girl, for hustling and making $740 off of these cookies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much Girl Scout cookies cost in your neck of the woods, Marcus.
$5.
$5. Okay. See, I didn't know if they had they could adjust prices out there in California.
No, it's $5.
Okay, so you talking about this girl made $740, $5 at a time. That's hustle. That's dedication to the craft.
Yeah.
And then her daddy, her daddy wanted dedication to his craft, I guess, and
yeah, craft being,
all right. So Marcus, let's not just make jokes at this man's expense. Let's empathize with Brian Couture. What would you have done? Were you in this situation where you had already got this massage? Like I'm sure sometimes you go out to eat and you don't understand all the incidentals that are involved in the price.
Mm-hmm.
And you thinking you're gonna pay $100 at dinner, and oh snap, dinner cost me $250. So maybe it was a situation where he thought, it's only going to cost me $200. I got that. And then what do you know? It turned out to be $740. Oh, what do I do?
Put it on the credit card, man. You got to keep a card that's open. You never know when you're going to be stuck in a situation where you're going to need to make a payment for something.
So then he, like I said, he goes to the length of framing this break-in. Like he actually broke his back screen door, and that's how they caught him, because they found some of his blood in the glass.
Oh, the evidence, damn.
So not only did you get busted, not only do you have to pay back your daughter her $740, but now you got to fix the damn screen door in the back.
Let's see, you should have watched Forensic Files. They can do DNA anywhere.
Oh, do you think Couture is going to find a, shall we say, happy ending out of all this, Marcus?
Yeah, he should lose his wife if he still hasn't. And
I was going to say, that's probably done.
He probably should lose some access to the kid.
He's certainly banned from any Girl Scout function.
Any Girl Scout functions. He's probably banned from massage parlors. It's rough times for this man.
I'm wondering why he was only fined $140, though.
That seems very low.
Yeah. He was put on probation, fined $100, and ordered 80 hours of community service.
Well, we know part of that reason. We know why that is, but still, that seems very low.
So you saying if instead of Brian Couture, he was Rasheem Couture?
Oh, he would have been in jail. Yeah, he would have been locked up.
Like, damn, what happened to Rasheem? Oh, you ain't here?
Locked up, no bail, just, yeah.
But you know what they say, Marcus?
What's that?
That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Oh, boy.
And that's how we gonna end our 250th episode with a dad joke or uncle joke.
Crumbles, crumbs. I sense a theme here.
Oh, bringing it back around to Byron Allen. Bringing it back to the mogul.
By the way, shout out to let me get his name right, because what he did at Morehouse was pretty special.
Oh, yeah. That was really cool.
Robert Smith, billionaire Robert Smith.
Yeah, not football player Robert Smith.
Not that Robert Smith, no. Who is going to pay for the student loans of the Morehouse graduating class of 2019.
I've never even heard of this dude. Like that, again, we were talking about with Byron Allen, like some of our black millionaires and our black entrepreneurs that are on that level, we never really hear about.
And I don't know why that is. Well, I can tell you why, because the other 3/4 of the world is not going to tell that story. So if we're not telling that story,
true, then
no one's going to know about it, right? So that is the reason why we don't know about this man.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, man, that is not only is it something that is very uplifting and very cool in the moment, taking care of the student debt for all of the graduating class, but it literally is, and it shouldn't be in 2019 in America, not to get political, Marcus Vanderberg. It shouldn't be, but that is something that is literally life-changing because we know how student debt can affect people going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out of school 11 years last week, and I have a shitload of debt still. And I've been working I've been working since I was in school, and I still have thousands of dollars of student loans still left.
It's like I didn't even graduate, and I'm still paying student loans, man.
It
should be a law. If I didn't graduate, I only got to pay you a prorated amount.
You should just forfeit. You like, all right, we feel bad. You didn't get your degree. You're done.
Like, oh, he only did 3 years. Okay, you good, player.
Yeah.
You're paying us back by not getting that job you should have got because you don't have a degree.
I did think about the parents of the successful family that were able to pay for school, and then sitting at graduation knowing, damn it,
yes,
spend all this money. I got nothing to show for. Well, they have a degree, but yeah, or did not graduate on time and should have been in the class of 2019.
Oh man!
And like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Hey, to his credit, Robert Smith, he's like, hey, I did my class. Now it's up to the next person to step up and do the next class.
Yeah, good luck.
So, Byron Allen, you on deck.
Come on, crumbs. Bomani was talking about this on his podcast. He had a buddy who was at the graduation, and he was texting Bomani during the speech, and he was like, yo, this dude sucked. Like, the speech sucks. And it wasn't until the very end that he got to the student debt part, and then they're like, all right, it was worth it. But I guess the speech was not good up until that point.
I mean, as you'll see this weekend at Double or Nothing, Marcus, it doesn't matter if, you got a 10-minute match and 9 minutes of the match are boring or dull. If you can pull out that great finish, that's all people going to remember.
Yep.
And Robert Smith, he had his high spot ready.
And he's not even a Morehouse alum. That's the most impressive part.
Do you know what he does?
So, funny enough, he ended up buying the company that my brother works at. And he sold that to Adobe. And he basically flipped it. And
okay.
Whoa. His wife is all right.
You say he won't be going to any massage parlors anytime soon?
You can look up his wife. Her name is Hope.
Hope Smith?
Nope. I will just read this from her Wikipedia. She first gained fame as Playboy Magazine's Playmate of the Month for April 2009.
Okay, Hope.
And later became the 2010 Playmate of the Year.
Oh, snap. Come on, dog. I ain't even mad at you, though, Chief.
Yo,
I ain't even mad at you. Hope the board check. Go ahead. It's
the name sounds familiar.
Brother.
Wow.
So, yeah, for those that are not looking, imagine if Frank Robinson got with who'd be like the hot international type person.
I don't know, but so she was on Celebrity Apprentice. That's why her name sounds familiar.
Okay, so but yeah, imagine if Frank Robinson got with like Giselle in some weird alternate universe.
This is
wow. Rest in peace, Frank Robinson.
Yes. Robert Smith.
I don't even know what the man does, but yeah, he's getting it done.
Wow. How did they meet? I want to know that story.
I'm sure it involved money. Maybe it was at a Trump function.
So Smith was married. He was married for 22 years. Separated in 2010.
I'm assuming just some hard-working black woman. Not to disparage Robert Smith, but I'm thinking that's how the narrative goes.
No, I don't think she. Well, I can't tell. Oh no. At least she's light skinned. Yeah, she's black. Damn it. So divorce was finalized.
When you get on, he leave your ass for a white girl.
Yeah, divorce finalized in 2014. Married Hope in 2015.
She's got to be like, what, 20 years younger than this dude?
Yes, she is. 3 children with his first wife, 2 with the second wife.
Okay, player.
Owns a home in Austin, home in Malibu.
He's probably neighbors with Byron out in Hawaii.
And his New York City home, by the way, worth $59 million. So I still don't know what this dude, like, how did he initially get his money? That's a good question. Private
equity. It sounds like right now he's just kind of like venture capitalism, like he's flipping companies. But, like, how did he get the money in the first place?
Net worth $5 billion.
That's a lot of zeros, Marcus.
And Forbes declared Smith the wealthiest African American, surpassing Oprah Winfrey. Okay, so we got Smith, then Oprah, and then maybe Crumbs. Yeah, maybe.
That's it. That's the list, as Mr. Tony would say.
Yep.
So we got Smith, we got Oprah, we got Crumbs. Go down a little further, you probably got Tom Joyner, and then down a little further, and it's Marcus Vanderberg.
That's the list, yeah.
That's our top 5.
That sounds right.
So Marcus is coming for Tom Joyner next. Steve Harvey's probably on the list somewhere.
Oh, Steve definitely is.
That would be fascinating. Like, somebody needs to, like, do a list of, because we see, like, all the time, like the Forbes list of, the wealthiest Americans, or, the wealthiest people under the age of 50. But like, I've never seen, like, a comprehensive list of black people with wealth. And, that kind of goes to what you're talking about. People either don't care or they don't want to report on these people like Robert Smith. Yeah. Bob Johnson's probably up there, too.
Bob Jordan's on there, probably.
Yeah, Jordan's probably on the list. Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you probably get to a run of like entertainers and athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Kofi Kingston. So that's going to do it for episode 250 of the Kings of Sport podcast. Brother Marcus, we did it. 250 officially now. Do you feel any different than you did at 249?
I don't.
The moment hasn't sunk in yet.
It has not, no.
So until this weekend at Double or Nothing, when you just start big timing people.
Never that.
So, but yes, I was going to say earlier, if you're out there in Vegas, particularly if you're a listener of this show, you can probably approach Marcus. Just don't do it at dinner. And he'll probably be friendly with you.
I will be.
Marcus, maybe you can get a 2-for-1 and get a picture with Marcus and Chris from LA.
Yeah, Chris will be there.
So that's going to do it for this week's episode. Brother Marcus, I just want to send a special shout out to you, my brother, for 250 episodes of this quality program, and I can't wait to do 250 more.
By episode 500, we might have a third co-host on the show.
That nepotism
might be a 3-year-old with some hot takes coming in.
Maybe he'll
actually no. It's a what, 6 years at this point.
Yeah.
So he'll be a 6-year-old.
Yeah, he'll at least be as good as baby Stephen A. Smith.
Oh man, if you haven't watched
baby
that video,
Stephen A. Smith,
so good, so good.
Oh, so Marcus, where can the people find you on social media?
Marco Will, MarcoWill.
You can find me on Twitter at @8 MOZAIK at Nate Mosaic. Follow the show, Cospod, KOS_POD, Cospod on Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Wherever podcasts are found, you will find the Kings of Sport. Same place you found us for the last 250 episodes. And next week, we will be back with more of the world's most dangerous sports show, the Kings of Sport podcast. So, Brother Marcus, have a great time in Vegas. Be safe, and I will talk to you next time, my brother.
Thank you. Will do.
All right. For Marcus Double Nothing Vanderberg, I am the Godfather, Nate Milton. I'm trying to think of something with a cookie in it. And out of your boy Couture.
He's ruined cookies for everyone.
He's ruined cookies for everybody. Hey, Robert Smith, call us. That's the realest way we can end this episode. Robert Smith, give us a call. 'Cause you've been down with the Kings. Well, that's all for this week's edition of the Kings of Sport. Be sure to come back next week for an all-new episode. You can leave feedback for the show on Twitter at KOS_POD or via Gmail at thekingsofsport@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and rate us on iTunes and tell a friend. The Kings of Sport is a production of the Mosaic Podcast Network.
Whether you like it or not, he's bad. D-A-double-D-Y, fat sex.
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna leave it all on the mat, because that's what I do when I get it done so I can do it. Yeah!